want to reiterate the fact that it is not actually complicated. And there is a lot of noise out there about how to start a business. And one of my missions is to simplify it for you so you don't waste time and you don't waste money and you can take action to build a business that supports you and the life that you choose to live. Now, before we get into the simple steps for how to start a business, I want to make clear what you don't need to start a business, because we're going to be talking about what you can do and how to start that business and what you do need. But here are a couple things that you don't need. You don't need a business plan to start a business. You don't need a fancy website. You don't need a degree, right? Like an MBA or a business experience. You don't need to know the legal structure of your business or do all of this fancy market research. Okay. Now we're going to get into what you do need. So, welcome back to Launch Your Business Live, where we make making money online clear, simple, and successful. So you can build wealth and independence, work from home, and turn that part-time business into your full-time income. Now, my name is Marianne Lombardi. I am an executive turned founder. I'm an author, a former educator, and the single parent of the coolest teenager on the planet. Some may argue with me, because you may have really cool teenagers too. But mine is pretty great. And guess what? We all can have really cool teenagers. I think it's awesome. Now, I've been helping small business owners thrive for 20 plus years, and my mission is to do the same for you. So we're going to jump right in here. And as we get started, I want you to grab a piece of paper. We're going to do a short little exercise in the middle. So have that paper, pencil, notes app, whatever floats your boat, ready to go when we get there. Now, if you've thought about starting a business, but you're not sure where to start, maybe it's making you a little nervous because you've never done anything like that before. Well, that's okay. New stuff is kind of scary. It's exciting, but it's scary. So that's all right. It doesn't mean it's something you shouldn't do. It just acknowledge that that's true, because starting a business, it can feel risky, right? And especially if you just jump right in, because there's this fear, especially if you're coming out from a profession or in some corporate job and jumping straight into entrepreneurship, there is this risk, right? That you're going to lose your benefits, which is often the top thing on people's mind. And then you're going to waste money, fail, all this kind of stuff. But the reason I love starting with a side business is that it's a great way to test your business idea without all of that risk. It's a great way for you to make extra money, have a creative outlet, and challenge yourself professionally and personally, and also expand the possibilities of what your life can become. And often I find that starting a business is like a gateway to those new possibilities. It's a new way of looking at what is possible. And the truth is, it's not this crazy, mysterious thing. Starting a business really is just about helping people and getting paid directly for that help without the middleman taking his cut. And in a profession or a corporate space, you may still be helping people, but someone else is getting paid for it. And that other person then is paying you what they want to pay you, right? So there's a middleman in this process. So let's get at it. The two things that you need to start a business is something to sell, and that's usually a product or service, and someone that wants to buy that thing that you are selling. This is your customer or your client. That's it. Everything else comes after. But those are the only two things you need to start a business: something to sell and someone who wants to buy the thing that you're selling. Now, the problem with all of the advice out there about starting a business that tells you that you need a business plan, legal structure, fancy website, is that none of those things are useful if you aren't making money. If you don't have a thing you are selling that somebody wants to buy, none of those other things matter. And if you focus on the business plan, legal structure, fancy website when you are starting your business, they distract you from the main event. They postpone you finding an audience and testing your idea and getting paid. So, how do you find each of those things in the first place? Your product, service, and your paying audience. You do that by starting with what you know and who you know. Okay, so let's get into the what part of this, the what you know. To figure out what product or service you want to offer, you start with what you already know how to do and what you enjoy doing. Now, this is where I want you to grab that piece of paper. because we need to figure out what you're good at. Now, this seems kind of obvious, right? Like, of course I know what I'm good at, right? But it can be harder than you think it is because most of the time we are going through our days just doing stuff, right? We're just doing the things. And we don't think, do I like this thing that I'm doing? Am I good at this thing? Do I want to do this over and over again? We just go do the thing. Part of it because it's habit, part of it's routine, and we just go do it. But if you're going to start a business, we need to ask ourselves a couple questions. So we're going to do this right now, and I want you to write it down. Now, don't think too much. Don't judge your answers. Just write down what comes up for you because the judgment is not helpful. Judgment is usually not very helpful. So, what do you have experience doing? So, for example, for myself, I have experience launching businesses, programs, things, right? Like building stuff, launching stuff. That's usually what people hire me to do. I have experience connecting people, building community, organizing things and events, creating budgets, managing money, building partnerships, right? Like those are some of the things that I've experienced doing, right? So for yourself, write down what are the things that you have experience doing. Okay. It's not a judgment about whether you like them, are good at them, or bad at them. Just what do you have experience doing? What have you done a lot of? And I want you to write that down. Then I want you to think about what activates your passion. Or if you don't like the word passion, because, passion can feel a little, what activates your joy, right? What do you enjoy doing? And these are broad categories of things. Like for me, I enjoy helping people. I enjoy eating tacos. I also like writing and speaking and teaching and helping people. I really dig simplifying complex things for some reason. Like I've always done that, like distilling something that's complex into something simple. I like eating. I like drinking. I like playing sorry with my kid. I like traveling, right? Like, so these are just a bunch of things I like. So if you're doing this with your piece of paper, I just want you to free associate what are the things that you enjoy doing and write them all down. Don't judge them. Don't think about, I don't know if this is a good business before you write it down. Just write it down. Because not all of these things are going to lead into a business, but it's important to identify them nonetheless. So just write them all down. So after you write those, I want you to consider compliments you've received from others. What do people that you trust say you're good at? Because chances are they're seeing qualities in you that you may not even be aware of. Right. And by the way, make sure that you don't take feedback from people who you don't trust or people who are assholes because their opinions don't matter. So what are the compliments then that you've been receiving from people you trust and people who are not assholes? And write them down. Because the things people say you're good at or that they compliment you about or the compliments you who receive are kind of telling, right? So, for example, maybe you give great advice and feedback, and this could lead you to becoming a coach of some kind, right? Like that's a skill, that's a valuable skill that you have. Maybe you have exceptional organizational skills. This could be channeled into helping others organize their life, right? As a or their business. You could be a VA, right? Or you could create a course around this, or coaching, or checklists, or other products like that. And oh, I know. Maybe you're really good at knowing the best places to go and the cool things to do. And everyone is always like, "Oh my god," like they come to you for recommendations of things to do and the new restaurant and the new thing, right? This could be channeled into creating a business where you help people plan trips and parties or when people come into town that you create experiential activities, right? So who knows where this will lead. But the point is to be open, to be thinking and exploring all of the possibilities so you don't get too wrapped up in the idea that if I'm a teacher, the only thing I could sell is teaching, right? I just have to teach other people. That's the only thing that I could create a business as. No, there's a bunch of things that you could create a business around. Now, remember, the goal of this exploration is to start a business. It's one thing to be passionate about eating tacos, but it's another thing to turn that thing into a business that somebody is going to pay you for, and ideally pay you a premium for that thing. I have yet to figure out how to, create a business out of eating tacos. So, so how do you know if people are going to pay you for that thing, right? The answer is you talk to people about it and you test your business idea. But before you do that, think of this. Most often, a client is going to hire you because working with you is going to do one of three important things. It's either going to save them money or earn them more money. It's either going to save them time or free up more time, or it's going to make them more productive so they can reach their goals faster and better than they could be doing it on their own. Those are the main reasons people hire you instead of doing it on their own. So maybe, for example, you went gluten-free for health reasons and had great success with it. So you start a business of helping other people do that too. Your clients may hire you because they can't reach their goals of being gluten-free on their own because it's just too complicated, right? So they trust that you can help them transform their health faster and better than if they were doing it on their own. And going back to that VA example, maybe you're providing VA services to professional women who are managing, their life and work. And your client hires you because you will save them time, which they don't have a lot of because they're managing the day-to-day of their complicated life. And secondarily, you are going to be helping them be more productive by taking all of these tasks off their to-do list. And that's valuable, right? And when you shape that, it's something that you can charge a premium for. Like, I think this VA thing is really interesting because often when people think about starting a VA business, they really only think about it in small tasks. And they don't think about there's a higher end up there from a VA perspective that you can be taking off much more fundamental tasks for very professional women and getting paid a heck of a lot more than you would often the way people think of a VA. But that's a thing. You could reach out to me and I'll talk to you how about we do that. So all of this personal investigation helps you find the idea, the business idea, and it's all based on what you already know how to do. And you don't have to learn anything new. You don't have to get another certificate. You don't have to do the thing. All you have to do is do the thing that brings you joy and find the person who will pay you to do that. So let's talk about that paying part. So how do you find the people who are going to pay you? You're going to start with the people you know, right? Because this is about doing what you know how to do and starting with the people that you know. So you're going to start by reaching out to them for research, right? Once you have an idea, you're going to reach out and ask people that you know that you imagine might be a client, right? Or fit the profile in your head of a client. And you're going to ask them if they're willing to chat with you. And you're going to ask them about the challenges that they have, what they've tried to do to solve that challenge in the past, what has worked, what has not worked, and how it feels to have their problem and also how it would feel to have their problem solved. So, for example, you've met like handfuls of parents of kids in your school or community or friends on Facebook, right? And maybe some of them have been talking about their health journey and the struggle that they've been having, not knowing what to do or where to start. So you reach out and you say, hey, Donna, when we spoke a while ago, you were talking about how you were on this health journey. And I was wondering if you might have 10 minutes to chat with me about that. I'm doing a little research for a new project, and I'd love to ask you a couple of questions. What do you think? Right? And you can say, I'm doing a little research for a new business, or you don't even have to say that. Just say for a new project. And I'd love to ask you a couple of questions. What do you think? I have never found somebody when I have done this who said, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk to you. Right? It's that simple. And I'm happy to send you this script, right? So that you have that and do a lot of these conversations. Through these conversations, you are going to learn so much about who your audience is, what they need, what they want, and what has and has not worked for them. And this information is going to help you start to carve out what your paying audience and what your client wants and needs and who they are. And more than likely, these conversations are going to be leading to your first clients. Some of them may actually be your first clients, and those clients are going to come from that community of people that you already know that you started talking to. Okay. So, this is how you start a business by focusing on what you know and who you know. We talked about how you don't need all this fancy website, biz plan, legal structure to start your business. They postpone you finding an audience, testing your idea, and getting paid. We talked about how to find your new side business idea by marrying what you already know how to do, what you're good at, and what you enjoy. And you marry that with people who will pay for those things. And then we followed it up by talking about how to find your paying audience by having lots of conversations with the people in your extended community. Now, all of this is going to lead you in the direction to make extra money for whatever you want it for, paying off student loans, saving a little, or to challenge yourself in that professional and personal way, right? And expanding the possibilities of what you think your life can become. So, let me know if you have any questions about anything that I've talked about here. You can reach out via DM and just say side business and I'll follow up and we'll go from there or send you the script or anything like that. So do the exercises if you haven't done them before, and I'm excited to see what you come up with. All right. Thank you. See you next week.